Welcome back to Sovereign Moves. Today, we're diving deep into the latest global strategies. Remember to like and subscribe for more insights.
The global order is fracturing right now, and the stakes, they literally couldn't be higher. Settle in and prepare to confront the cold, unyielding facts on the ground. The atmosphere in the Situation Room is incredibly tense today. And I'll be honest with you, the data we're about to review offers zero comfort. Let's dive right into the intelligence.
We're executing today's strategic briefing in 6 distinct phases. 1. May 4th, Project Freedom. 2. The Iranian Ultimatum. 3. Fujairah under fire. 4. Satellite data revealing the dig. 5. The war powers dodge. And finally, 6. The sovereign verdict. We're going to move through this sequentially, and we aren't holding back.
Section 1. May 4th. Project Freedom. Make no mistake, today the U.S. Navy entered the kill zone. That isn't hyperbole. That is a grim tactical reality. Washington just launched a sweeping military escort initiative, and they're calling it Project Freedom. The administration's stated objective is extraction. They're going in to pull out neutral ships and roughly 53 million barrels of oil trapped right in the middle of the blockaded, highly contested waters of the Strait of Hormuz. But look at the human calculus here. Beyond the raw geopolitics, we are talking about roughly 20,000 seafarers currently stranded aboard hundreds of vessels caught in this maritime blockade. They're running incredibly low on food, they're running low on supplies, they are literally sitting targets inside a restricted waterway. And the economic pressure driving this entire operation, it's completely relentless. The baseline global metric for market panic shows Brent crude stubbornly holding above $108 a barrel as this crisis reaches a boiling point. The global energy market is just holding its breath right now, waiting for that first spark. And this brilliantly, if brutally, illustrates the cascading financial threat we're facing. West Texas Intermediate crude is hovering dangerously near $102 a barrel. An extended closure of the strait is the kind of massive economic shockwave that Washington has calculated it simply can't afford to endure. Section 2. The Iranian Ultimatum. We're shifting now to Tehran's counterposture. And predictably, Iran hasn't blinked. They've labeled Project Freedom a direct, aggressive violation of the fragile April 8th ceasefire. Make no mistake, to Tehran, this isn't some humanitarian escort. It's an outright invasion of their declared zone of control. The absolutely crucial point here is this uncompromising warning straight from the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. I'm going to read this directly. We warn that any foreign military force, especially the aggressive U.S. military, that intends to approach or enter the Strait of Hormuz will be targeted. Listen to those words carefully. U.S. ships are no longer navigating a gray zone. They are now active, pre-declared targets. Tehran is publicly committing to kinetic engagement.
In the theater of information warfare, the first shots have already been fired. Iran has already falsely claimed that 2 missiles struck a U.S. Navy destroyer to prevent it from entering the strait. Now, U.S. Central Command swiftly debunked this, confirming absolutely 0 ships were hit. But the claim itself? It's a calculated projection of domestic strength and a clear signal of intent.
Section 3. Fujairah under fire. That intent has already materialized into action today. Let's move to the active kinetic engagements reported on the ground right now. That ceasefire? It's a ghost. The war is already hot again. The exact strike coordinates tell the whole story. The United Kingdom Maritime Trade Operations confirmed that a tanker was hit by unknown projectiles exactly 78 nautical miles north of Fujairah in the United Arab Emirates. The crew survived, but the message was absolutely delivered. And it wasn't an isolated event. We just saw a cascading series of targets that shattered the morning's quiet. First, a drone strike on a UAE energy installation. That sparked a fire managed by civil defense teams right in the Fujairah oil industry zone. Furthermore, an empty crude oil tanker owned by ADNOC was targeted by drones. This is a systematic targeting of energy infrastructure. Section 4. Satellite data. The dig. Now we're moving beyond the headlines and diving into the raw intelligence. We're looking at fresh satellite reconnaissance over Iran. Beneath the surface, the enemy is preparing. They're actively unearthing buried launchers at Khomeini. They're opening up the Dragon's Den for what looks exactly like a massive retaliatory launch. There is a stark contrast happening right now. On one side, you have the political illusion of victory, the White House stance claiming the war is over, the Navy was annihilated, and the ceasefire holds. But on the other side, the grim ground reality captured from orbit. Iranian front-end loaders systematically digging through the rubble of bomb tunnels to retrieve their most lethal assets. Commit this bleak intelligence assessment to memory, right now. 50%. According to the most recent U.S. intelligence estimates, despite a month of devastating warfare, a full 50% of Iran's missile launchers remain completely intact. The threat was buried. It was not destroyed. Do not underestimate what it took to bury them in the first place. During the prior engagements in March, U.S. forces had to drop massive 5,000-pound bunker-buster bombs just to hammer these hardened anti-ship cruise missile sites. The tactical retrospective is heavy with destruction. 16. That is the number of Iranian mine layers sunk by U.S. forces in a desperate attempt to stop the very mining operations that created this current blockade. Concluding this historical data readout, 158. That's the number of Iranian naval vessels destroyed before the ceasefire took hold. Over 150 warships across 16 classes sent straight to the bottom of the sea. Yet, despite this near-total naval annihilation, the missile threat from the mainland survives. Section 5. The War Powers Dodge. We're pivoting coldly now to Washington, D.C., where a very different kind of maneuver just took place. We need to look at the legal maneuvering that is allowing the executive branch to act today without a new congressional declaration of war. Let's trace the legal timeline. The initial combat operations against Iran began on February 28th. The administration then formally notified Congress on May 1st that hostilities were officially terminated. And then, exactly 3 days later, on May 4th, Project Freedom is launched. So why the abrupt termination? Well, it neatly dodges the 60-day legal deadline mandated under the 1973 War Powers Resolution. By declaring the original war over on May 1st, the administration completely reset the clock. They successfully bypassed the need for Congress to authorize continued military action for this new, heavily armed escort mission. Section 6. The Sovereign Verdict. This brings us to the final phase of our explainer. We're transitioning from raw data collection to our predictive, strategic forecast for the sovereign minds tuning in. Look at the board. Is Project Freedom a simple extraction, or is it a heavily armed invitation for the first shot of a brand new war? Consider the immense pressure cooker we're looking at. A recent report estimates that the U.S. naval blockade has cost Iran a crippling $4.8 billion in lost oil revenue. You don't corner a regime, strip them of billions, bomb their ports, and then expect them to just watch quietly as you sail your fleet right through their front door. And we must never forget the blood already spilled on the American side. 13 U.S. service members were killed in prior engagements during this conflict. The cost of a miscalculation today is going to be measured in human lives, not just market percentages. The pieces are perfectly in place. The legal loopholes are secured. The front-end loaders and Iran have cleared the tunnel doors. The tankers are burning off the coast of Fujairah. A 24-hour naval collision is no longer a possibility. It is a mathematical certainty. The first ship is moving. Are you watching the right side of the street?
That's all for today. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more insights.